Hello all, Alex here with the Wisconsin Computer Club. Welcome back to the shop. And tonight I want to talk a little bit more about TVs. I kind of love TVs. I have a lot of TVs. There's probably 100 TVs around here. But I want to show you one in particular that just came in that I've been looking for a long time. They're not necessarily uncommon, but they're not the easiest thing to find because they weren't sold directly to consumers in the normal sense. Let me just show you what we got here. This lovely little devil is the RCA clear plastic. I can get it up here, Jesus. Prison TV. Now, Prison TV, a lot of people go, what, Prison TV? What? These were sold pretty much exclusively to the prison system. And the idea was that if you were incarcerated and you either worked or had your family send the money your way, you could actually buy one of these in prison and have one there in your cell. I know that at least when I think of prison, I usually think of kind of, maximum security kind of stuff. But a lot of prisons do have some niceties you can get, especially if it's more low security, which obviously this would have been from. But in order to prevent things like contraband being smuggled in or other things happening to them, they have to be able to, at least the facilities have to be able to see the inside of any kind of enclosed vessel space, which is why these are entirely transparent. They have these little security seals on here which warn that if you remove or tamper with the seal, disciplinary action will be performed upon you. And it lists a couple of different statutes that allow that. The screws are weird security screws that are way dug up in there, similar to kind of the Macintosh. The way that those are kind of settled up in the handle, so not an easy thing to take apart, even if you have the right kind of tools. But these were designed to, yes, be tamper-proof. But the benefit is that if you, of course, bought it as a prisoner, you would have, of course, it was yours. You bought it with your own funds, so you, of course, would be permitted to take it home with you. And they are pretty cool little sets. So a lot of people, of course, if you paid a pretty penny to have it with you there in when you were incarcerated, you would take it back with you. And a gentleman who gave this one to us, he had a relative who had done some time in there and brought it out and got rid of it that way. And he had it, and then he sent it our way. So RCA manufactured these in the same sense that, a lot of major brands manufacture things. It's actually a Chinese manufacturer that's used the RCA name as their domestic label here. It's actually, the tube is manufactured by a company called Irico out of China. There's not a whole lot of details on them. They're, I believe, in some way tied in with Funai, but I haven't found anything concrete on either end of that. But this here was manufactured in, when was the manufacturing date? 2008. So this would have been very late in the kind of CRT TV manufacturing lifespan. So this would have probably been the tail end of manufacturing for even domestic sets in countries like China and whatnot. So these would have been, a cheap option to kind of blow out remaining stock and inventory on parts, just to get them back over here. And of course, they could be sold for whatever price they wanted in the prison system. I don't know what they went for, but I can't imagine it was cheap. I've been told it wasn't cheap, but I don't have exact figures. But yes, this one here is TTE Technologies Inc. Was the company that actually sold them, although again it was manufactured by this Chinese company and it was badged as RCA, even though RCA was long since defunct by this point and it had zero to do with actually manufacturing it. So besides being clear, so you can see all the internal workings, you can see the flyback here, you can see the yoke here for adjusting the picture there, you have the neck board here which is doing all the actual firing of the x-rays and whatnot to make it actually display its goodies there. It has one input, a 75 ohm input for RF in. This would take either analog or digital. Typically in a prison setting, I'm told that you would have essentially one line that would plug into it and that would connect you to an antenna on the roof of the building. Because they, of course, weren't paying for, HBO or premium cable. They had whatever local channels you had. And when I fired this thing up first time around, it had all the local channels kind of pre-programmed in for the kind of southern end of Wisconsin. But yeah, so it would have all those things, and then it has, some of the niceties of some of the newer TVs in there as well. Like I say, it has a memory search for your channels, so you can kind of flip through those. It has a digital tuner built in, so you can read it right off of digital airwaves. But it doesn't have the analog setting. I found out in order to get to that, you have to change the input with the remote, which I don't know if this thing actually came with the remote when you were in the prison, but you had that going. This one does have a speaker. I know some of the sets don't have speakers integrated because you would only have the headphone jack. The idea being that it would keep it quiet for everybody around you. Not everybody wants to listen to whatever it is you're watching. But this one does not get very loud. It has this like active, like sound modulating thing built in, almost like parental controls. So interesting stuff there. But enough chatting. We'll fire it up here. It's pretty straightforward as a TV goes for a little 13-inch set. You've got a mono speaker. You've got a handful of controls in the front here. It does have a little kind of basic menu where you can adjust a couple of the picture things, basically the color and the contrast, and that's about it. It has a parental control thing, but it's locked up with a code I don't have, so I haven't looked up if there's a master code or anything like that, but I'm assuming it's just to lock out certain channels. And then it has, for setup, you can use basically a search pattern similar to what you find in a modern TV to look up, channels that run through the airwaves or cable, so it'll do those kind of things by itself. So we'll get that out of here, and let's put a game on here. So in this case, I'm gonna just slide the Atari 2600 over here, make a nice little mess because my desk is smaller here, and let's power up. There we go. Sequest, my favorite. All right. Oh, I got blown up. But it was a good try. So anyway, this is kind of a cool little TV. My intentions with this one is that it's going to be part of the show fleet for when the Wisconsin Computer Club goes to our various public shows and outings. It's a fantastic way to show off what the inside of a CRT TV is without having to open one up. They're very dangerous when they're running. There's a lot of voltage going on in there that can do some bad things to you if you run those live across your body. And of course, taking the back off a TV when it's not powered on, there's still a lot of things in there that are, pokey or dusty or messed up that you don't want, necessarily want people to handle. But in this case, you can see all the guts, you can actually see it running, and it's a pretty cool little setup, and it's kind of an eye-catching sort of thing. So while it had kind of an unhappy origin, it now has kind of a happy future ahead of it. So I'm excited to see what this thing can do at future shows. We'll be able to share this and help people explore, the history of these kind of TVs as they, continue to kind of vanish and cease to be. But yeah, we'll continue to have them at the shows, and we'll have this thing at shows, and I think it's going to be a great little addition to the fleet. And it's a cool little add-on. And these things are still relatively easy to find. Like I say, as these were mostly sold through the prison system, they still do manufacture TVs for the prisons that have these clear plastic shells, not this style. They're LCDs now, but you can still get these kind of cool TVs pretty easily. If you check out like your Facebook Marketplace or your Craigslist or whatnot, they do come up every now and again, and they're usually not too bad in terms of pricing. In this case, this one came our way because they knew we were doing events with them, but depending on where you're at and what you're doing, if you're looking to get one of these, they are still out there. This is about the only size that they came in. The 13 was about as big as they went. And they came in a couple different brands. I'm aware that there's an Orion, there's a Funai, there's a Sansui, there's a Zenith. Again, these are all Chinese brands. They're just using existing brand names on them. The RCA seems to be the most common here in Wisconsin, but I'm told that Zenith is more popular out east. Maybe it's a regional thing. I couldn't tell you. But yeah, cool little TV. I wanted to share that with y'all. Thank you all so very much for watching, and enjoy the rest of the stream.